In this exercise, I'm going to introduce you to the stroke panel, which has been dramatically enhanced inside of Illustrator CS5. I'm working inside the document called FilledFacePaths.ai, found inside the 07 Fill Stroke folder. And notice that I've gone ahead and selected this circle that was formerly behind the god's head and offset slightly downward. And then I went ahead and hid all the objects in front of the path so as to provide myself with an unobscured view. Now, when you have an entire path outline selected, you can go up to the control panel and you'll see this stroke weight value right there, which most folks call line weight. And there's a variety of different ways to modify this value. You can click this little up arrow icon in order to increase it incrementally, or you can click the down arrow icon. You can also highlight the value and then press the up arrow key to increase it incrementally, or the down arrow key to decrease it. You can enter your own value accurate to 1/100th of a point, incidentally. So I could enter 12.75 points, for example. If I click this down pointing arrowhead, I'll see a bunch of preset values, including one as low as 0.25 point. Now, that's as low as you want to go, I have to tell you. That is a quarter of a 72nd of an inch. So 1/288th of an inch, which is about as thin as you can commercially reproduce. Anything below a half a point is considered to be a hairline in industry parlance. I don't tend to go any lower than 0.3 points. Anyway, in this case, I'm going to go ahead and change the line weight to 10 points, just to make it easier to do the math later on when I explain how strokes work. The next option over, notice this, is the word stroke. If you click on it, you'll bring up the full stroke panel, including all of these new options inside of Illustrator CS5. But what if you don't see the stroke options in the control panel? For example, I'll go ahead and escape out there and I'll switch to the white arrow tool. And then I'm going to click off the path outline and I'm going to move my cursor over this upper right quadrant until I see a little square next to my white arrow cursor. That indicates there's a path underneath my cursor. I'll click on it to select just that path segment independently of everything else in the circle. And because I've selected a partial path outline at this point, I don't see the stroke options anymore. I can still change the stroke if I want to. I'm just not seeing it here inside the control panel. Now, if I want to change the stroke, I need to bring up the dedicated stroke panel by going to the window menu and choosing the stroke command or pressing Control F10, Command F10 on the Mac. Problem is, there's a check mark in front of stroke, which indicates it's already up on screen. If I were to choose stroke, then I would hide the panel. Don't want to do that, so I'll escape out, and I'll note that my stroke panel is located right here. That's where I moved it anyway when I was setting up my custom one-on-one workspace. Currently, I'm only seeing the weight value and nothing more. If I want to expand the stroke panel, I can click on the flyout menu icon and choose Show Options, a command that's available when using many panels inside of Illustrator. Or I'll also see this up-down arrow icon. The first time I click on it, I'll collapse the stroke panel. The second time I click on it, I'll expand the panel. All right, notice these other options that are available to me, starting with this guy down here, Align Stroke. Align Stroke controls how the stroke rides the path. So currently notice that the stroke is exactly centered on the path. So I'm working with an 8-point line weight, which means half of the stroke is on the inside of the path. In the case of a closed path like this one, half is on the outside. So 5 points in, 5 points out. If I didn't like that, I could switch it out using this Align Stroke option. I could go ahead and align the stroke inside the path like so, or I could align all 10 points of the stroke weight outside the path. And there's a couple of reasons you might do this. First of all, you might want the path outline to look smaller inside the illustration, so you would go with the Align Inside option. If you wanted the path to look larger, you would align it to the outside. Another reason to use these options is to get two neighboring paths to align correctly with one another, and then you can go ahead and experiment with these options to taste. When in doubt, however, leave it set to Align Stroke to Center because that's the most compatible stroke type when commercially reproducing a document. Now, something else to note about Align Stroke, these options are only available when working with a closed path outline. They don't work with an open outline. For example, notice I only have this segment selected right now. I'm going to press the backspace key or the delete key on the Mac to open up that path, and now the Align Stroke options are dimmed. Everything except for the default setting, Align Stroke to Center, which of course, as you can see, is currently intact. All right, so much for the line weight and the Align Stroke option. In the next exercise, I'm going to introduce you to cap and corner.